Hello and welcome to another episode of the Smash Accept podcast. I'm your host, Michael Royer. You can find me on Twitter at Dynasty Dad FF. Joined as always by my main man at FFSnoog. And we got a fun show tonight because you guys keep asking about it. Everybody's like, Dad, we got to know how to do a one-year punt. We got to know how to do, used to be called a productive struggle. We've done it a little bit different here where we call it a one-year punt where, I was outside mowing today, Snoog. And it's like when you do a Dynasty roster, right? And every single year you're just sitting there, you're pulling the weeds, you're trying to, maintain the grass. When you got a one-year punt, you literally have somebody doing it for you for the first 2 years. Like you have so much, you got the gardeners out there, they're taking care of business until you get to a point like right now where a lot of these rosters I'm going to share and how we do this, you get to a point where, dude, you're unbeatable for years, and I think the biggest thing for that one-year punt for me is we give up a year to potentially create a dynasty. And that's really what we do. I mean, how many teams out there do you see guys in dynasty that are true dynasties if they don't do it this format? And Snoog and I are here to break it down. L Train says, oh baby, excited for this one. Guys have been, chiming in before we even start. We are live, so we will do super chats if you have questions for your draft. Snoog, one-year punt's the way to go, man. Like I know it takes some patience, right? And I know your generation doesn't like that patience thing. Me, this old guy, you know what I mean? Like we're like used to that slow burn of the 401k. A little bit about what your thought is on the one-year punt.
Yeah, some of my best teams have been built out of the one-year punt, especially when you have a strategy for it. Like we all talked about 2023 QBs and running backs. 2024 was the wide receivers and quarterbacks. 2025 was the running backs and the wide receivers. So when you're punting, you perfect the certain area that the weakness of the draft class coming in is going to be. So like, for example, 2022 was like the year of wide receivers. We were getting Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Chris Olave, all those guys. I tend to only like having quarterbacks and wide receivers in a one-year punt. Tight end and running back I'll figure out later. But you want to be bad enough where you're getting the 101. Like when I'm punting or rebuilding, I am getting the 101 10 times out of 10. No ifs, then buts about it.
Right.
Like you have to get 100%. The 101.
But the tricky part is, and we're going to get into this further, that doesn't mean you're just drafting blindly, like not going that way. You take the value where it is, and that's the first thing. So like the rebuild process, I broke this down into 6 easy steps so you guys can follow this. Obviously, if you've done a startup, you realize that there's an art form to it. There's a way to do it. And for the first part of this, what we're really looking at is, Snoog, we are establishing player equivalents. Now, as well as I do, that is a big thing that we do in our Discord, in the patreon.com/smash accept. We have every single player ranked as far as value goes. So I'm going to throw this up on the board here. Snoog, the first thing I do is I map this out. So this was the draft that you and I just did. And I know it might look crazy to people right off the bat. You can see Snoog's name. You can see my name on there. I had the 101. Snoog was somewhere there, I believe, 108. But what I like to do is I like to look at the draft and see the whole board. So right here, we have 12 rounds of players that are worth a second-round pick or more, right? When we talk about this, Snoog, we have an entire show of dynasty trades. Everybody knows how to make dynasty trades. But everybody, when they get in a startup, they're like, oh, that's an 8.1 for 5.2 and this and that. And they act like it's algebra. It's not. I mean, like if you look at it and you go right there and you say, you know what? JJ McCarthy's going 407. Guy wants to trade me, the 209, which is Justin Herbert, for the 407 and a first. Do I want a first and JJ McCarthy, or do I want Justin Herbert? And I think when guys reach out to me, and I do a lot of startup assistance, I know you do as well. We do it in the Discord. We have all our rankings, but everybody acts like it's algebra. We're not doing A squared plus B squared equals C squared. We're not doing anything Pythagorean theorem. We're just, dude, here it is. Like, we're going to make it easy for you. And this is the first step that I do. And if you look at this board, you're going to see that a majority of the rounds 5, 6, and 7 are all late firsts. You have a very small window of peers that are guys worth more than a first. So Snoog, the first question I want to ask you, and now we can see this in front of us. The first round is your make or break, right? I believe that your best way to do a one-year punt is from the first 3 picks, because those 3 quarterbacks are worth a first more than anybody else. So you have the power in that 101 through 103 to tier back to 105 and get a first. and then go from 105 to 110 and get another first, and it's like,
Yep.
there's so much room there for that first spot. So I've established here the player value. Talk to me a little bit about the first now and anything to add to that where you're looking at absolute values, because I know you get the same question too, right? And it's like, without a draft board in front of you, saying 11.2 plus 6.7 equals what, and there is a formula there, but this actually puts your framework in front of you.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do with this is tiering back. I think helps drastically. Like a lot of the times I'll go back from like the second round or the third round to like the 6th or 7th and get a first thrown in on top, or like something along those lines. Because I think that's the best way to stack firsts in the startup. Because if you think about it, everybody that wants those players that are going to trade their own first that early, they want studs. Like they want players that are really good. You'll get the desperate people in the 6th and 7th round. Like I want Terry McLaurin. Here's a 26 first. But like you'll get a Terry McLaurin or, a Tyreek Hill or those type of like value, Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave for this type of build as a 1-year punt, plus a first to tier off of like a T Higgins or an AJ Brown type of player. And I just think if you just keep stacking that, like realistically, you should be able to get 1, 2, like 3 or 4 first before you even kiss the 6th round of your startup. If you just keep moving back, if you trade that first round pick, Dad, we're talking, you might be able to even get like a 26 and 27 first on top of a 6th, 7th, 5th rounder. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is your pocket windows. This is something here where if you're in the Discord, I am posting this in today. So you guys have a firm area. I'm actually going to clean this up a little bit and send it over to our graphic guy. This is a Dynasty Dad, looks like I'm in the back room just kind of drawing, making things work. But we're going to get this cleaned up with different pick windows. But you see here that you have that first round is worth multiple first all the way up until mid-second when you get to Caleb Williams. And then from 101 to 102, small pocket window, right? 103 to 105, your mid-first, your late first. I want you guys to really look at this and say, you know what, Dad, this makes sense now. Like now I know that this player in this spot is worth a late first. And every single one of you guys knows how to handle a rookie draft, right? Because it's simple. You say, well, the 103 plus the one, equals the 108 in a late first, or a 109 in a late first. You guys can make those trades and you don't feel like you're leveraging your future. Most of you guys come to me and you act like when you're making that kind of trade, you're like you're going to ruin your kid's college fund. Relax. You're going to make mistakes. That's not a problem at all. But when you're in a 1-year punt, we're really just insulating every single piece. Every time we move back, we're insulating. We're either improving our secondary pick or we're improving what we're trying to do with that next pick. I want to share this here with you because this is it. Okay. This is my 1-year punt 2 years ago. Snoog, if you look at that left-hand side, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Bijan Gibbs, Neighbors Thomas, Bowers McBride, and 0.75 tight end premium, Tedderoy McMillan, Amarion Hampton. Sexy, right? Then you look at the bench on the right side. Hendo, Cook, Kyron, Mason, Charbonnet, Rice, Evans, Kupp, Judy, Wan'Dale Robinson. I still have 3 27 firsts and a 26 first. And the way you're able to do this, and I say this all the time, when you're rebuilding, when you're punting, you're building out so you can build up, right? You build that foundation. And by the time this draft is over, I'm going to show you a couple other slides here, but when you're done with your draft versus everybody else, you look at it where player X, who was he's trading all his picks, right? And he's moving up. He's got 17 guys on his roster, 24 guys on his roster. You look at mine when it's all done, you're looking at 20 plus picks. You're looking at a whole boatload of actual, players that you're able to start. And then you start to fine tune it and put it together. Then it becomes a rebuild, right? Because then we're taking player X and player Y, trading them with a pick to upgrade. So we're building out so we can build up. The second part here, Snoog, and this is where I want to get some of your insight. We're looking for player pocket values. So let's pull this board up again. Obviously, round 1, you're looking at wide receivers and you're looking at quarterbacks, right? You look at round 2, loaded with wide receivers and quarterbacks. After that, we have a big window here. So my one thing that I'm really trying to do, if I'm not punting, I want a quarterback, I want a wide receiver, or I know you like quarterback. Start to picture what you want that roster to look like. So if I'm at Josh Allen at 101, I don't want to trade past the second round with that pick for anything because I want to make sure I have Drake May, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, somebody in that range. And as we get to that, then all of a sudden I move from 101 to 108, move myself back. I want to continue to visualize where I'm trying to trade. Most people blindly trade. They just throw things out. And in step 2, they're just like, well, I got a first here. Okay, that's great. But now you traded from Josh Allen to CeeDee Lamb. That's not a first gap. Like now you have no quarterback, right? So you have to look at this and you have to look for player pocket values when you're making these kind of trades.
Yeah, that's what I love the best too. And it's getting ahead, especially with those rookies. Like a lot of the times rookies have the craziest good value in startups. I feel like it's starting to fix itself, but like when I started like really going hard and like when we started kind of working together in that 2022 class with like Garrett Wilson and those guys, they were crazy values. Like Garrett Wilson, I remember getting him like the 6th round of startups and Chris Olave in the 7th. And that's why I was punting, because I was just loading up on all those guys and just building out and getting these stud quarterbacks. And then it was just 23 gave me the running backs, 24 gave me wide receivers and running backs, and then you got a God squad. And it's like quick 2-year window, even 1-year window timings with the 1-year punt is really all you need to do, because right away there's like so many good opportunities here with like Emeka Egbuka where he's going in the round. Like Chris Olave could have a big bounce back. Roma Dunze in the 5th, 6th round. Like there's a lot of good opportunities here to hit on these guys that could jump into the 3rd, even 4th round of startups.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because right now, every year, I think it's really important to look at what a first-round pick is worth, right? So in 2023, I told everybody your first-round pick is worth, or to get a first is worth the equivalent of like a 4th or 5th rounder. I think in 2026, I think it's a 5th or 6th rounder, because you look at, you're still getting your Caleb Johnsons and your James Cooks and Bryce Young type in your 6th round, and I think the 26 class, you see where that late first window is. It goes almost all the way into the 7th round. So, I mean, if you can get a 5th rounder for your first, I'm smashing it this year, because I'm like, normally we say that's where it's at. I've been seeing a trend where rookies are almost going higher than usual. I mean, we have Ashton Genty. If you look at this one, he's going at 201. And you have Amarion Hampton's going in the early 3rd. Teteroy McMillan's in the 3rd. Travis Hunter's in the early 4th. I mean, guys are starting to build up. What really becomes interesting is those later first, right? Like those guys start to fall. Your Colston Lovelands, your Tyler Warrens, because people want to win. So then they start taking your Kyron William type, your Christian McCaffreys. They start to get into that area. What we're looking for in step 3 here, which I think is so important, is Snoog, we're trying to build with foundational assets, right? We are not trying to get ourselves into pocket windows where, I'm on the clock and I gotta choose between Devon Achane and AJ Brown. When you get to those kind of situations, how do you handle that? Because I think once you take that first trade, and it's very much like the rebuild process. For me, it's that splash trade. I make that big trade and you're like, there's no going back now. Like I've traded Josh Allen for JJ McCarthy and 2 firsts. I am committed to this thing now. Let's see it through. Let's see what we can do. And that's probably not the trade that I would make there. But where do you go ahead and like talk to me about making those first couple moves? Because that first move is the biggest one. I think I'm really just trying to tear back when I say if I'm going from a first to a late first, from early first to a late first, I want a first plus a 3-5 swap. I'm always trying to get that back end pickup, right? Everybody comes at you and they're like, they want to move up. What drives me nuts is guys in a startup think that they can move up cheaper with that second pick. It's like, you want this pick, right? You're the one that's got to come up and get it. You always want a little bit more on that back end.
Yeah, the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round picks are really easy to move, at least for my experience in the past. Absolutely. I feel like those are the ones that get traded the most frequent. Like I think there was just a bunch of moving around in our startup alone in the high rollers. So really what I'm trying to do is, I love this step 3. Like this is exactly how you perfect the 1-year punt. Foundational assets, build around them. That's all I'll own. I'm not going to own, a Keenan Allen. I'm not going to own Mike Evans. I'm not going to own any of those guys that will not gain value and that are going to only hurt our max points for. You want to buy into, the guys that are gambles, that are super young studs. Colston Loveland, Emeka Egbuka, Roma Dunze, Marvin Harrison Jr. these type of guys, that either didn't have Garrett Wilson, like these type of guys that didn't maybe live up fully to their true ceiling, but they're elite talents and they're superstars and they're really, really young. So as soon as they pop like that, they blow up. I had so much CD Lamb going into the year before you had like that first big blow up 300-point season when everyone was like, Amari Cooper's the alpha. CD Lamb's like not really it. He's good, but he's not elite. And then Amari Cooper walked and CD Lamb absolutely blew the doors off. And then he had a 400+ point season. So it's like buy into those type of talents and don't own, those players that are going to hurt your value. Like worst case, you're pinned. Maybe you can't get a first. Okay. Then trade back, trade a 3 for a 5, 3 and a 9 for a 5 and a 4, like something like that. Like you can get stuff like that done very easily, or even a 3 for, a 5 and a 6, like stuff like that is doable, and just keep stacking, keep building. Because we talk about it like on the show, you bring it up a lot, Dad. You got to build out and then you build up, right? Like you got to just get all the value on your roster, load up on draft capital because it's as liquid as possible. Draft picks aren't going anywhere. They can't get injured. They can't lose value. It doesn't matter at the draft class. They're gaining value. And then you build up. Then you go draft. Then you go trade those picks for players, or draft your running backs in the rookie drafts and stuff. But I love and absolutely love buying injured players. I don't know if this is probably going to be one of the things that we talk about, but injured players is like the cheat code of a 1-year punt. Like Saquon Barkley goes and tears his ACL like he did on the Giants. I was buying him everywhere. Like I literally went and bought him everywhere. And now it's paid off because I had him in like 9 to 10 of my leagues.
Yeah. And I think the important thing when we look at this, when you get down to the bread and butter of it all, it's literally you're rebuilding, but you're doing it as you're drafting, right? You're like starting to tear yourself down. You're starting to look at it. I'm trying to look at some of the trades, The other part that I don't think people understand, and is I think when they're doing a 1-year punt, they lack the patience. 2, they really just they want to speed the whole thing up. So step 4 is we take value, not players after round 1. So we're starting to look at players that we have in here, and you're like, you're not taking, like a lot of people come to me and say, well, I really wanted Nico Collins there. Okay, that's fine. But when that guy offered you to move back 6 spots for a second, then you take Rashee Rice in the second, and then you move back again, or Ladd McConkey in a second, then you move back again. We're constantly playing this game of moving ourselves back. We're trying to insulate our value because when you build up, you're continuously building back. So, you go from Nico to Ladd in a second, and now all of a sudden somebody else wants Ladd, and you trade Ladd for, I mean, this could have happened a couple months ago, but you get Ladd for Ibuka and somebody else's 27 first. Now all of a sudden you got 27 first, 27 second, Emeka Ibuka, and probably some other trade around in there instead of Nico Collins. You want to continue to get younger. You want to continue to build assets and get yourself. Honestly, when I'm done with some of these rosters, I mean, like this is Smash Accept 13. When you look at what you have here, this is after. So I did this 1-year punt last year. This is 1 year into it, right? So now we're in this spot. Left-hand side, you can see strongly invested in this class because I collected 9 26 firsts. Throughout the year, I made trades where it was like James Conner in a second, right? And somebody needed a quarterback. So it's 2 for a first plus another player, and you continuously make moves like that. And then you find players to build around. So as you see on the left-hand side here, Snoog, I mean, this is 1 year in. We did the draft last year. I clearly got the 101. You still see Ashton Genty on my team. I didn't have the 102 or the 103. Or no, I didn't have the 102 or the 104, but I did have the 103. So the only guys I didn't really get in that first round are Travis Hunter and I believe
Judkins.
Yeah. Well, which I did trade. I drafted Judkins, but I traded Judkins and AJ Brown for Travion Henderson. Or I got Travion Henderson and AJ Brown for Judkins, and I forget who the other guy was. Anyways, not important. But you look at that left-hand side now, Snoog, that roster is ready to go. Like you see Kyler Murray and Bryce Young. That's not an elite level quarterback room, but it's solid. Genty, Henderson, Harvey, Caleb Johnson, super young running back crew, AJ Brown, Rashee Rice, Tyler Warren. It's not a smash contender. I wouldn't say it's top 3, but it's pretty nice. Then you look at this middle section. I got Travis Etienne because nobody wanted him last year, right? I traded for Keon Coleman because nobody wanted him. I got Ricky Purcell because he was injured. Matthew Golden fell to me. Calvin Ridley, I got in a trade. Jamison Williams, I got a 27 first, and J-Mo for Bucky Irving, because I drafted Bucky Irving in the third. What's really important is this third row here. You see all the picks coming up. I mean, what is that? 5,
I like the taxi
first.
squad. You got me looking at your taxi squad.
My taxi squad of Tyler Shuck, Jalen Monroe, Ollie Gordon, Dylan Sampson. But this is the deal, and this is what everybody says is, well, Dad, you're never going to be able to draft all those players. You're right. But now I'm going to take Rashee Rice and pair him with a 27 first and get, I'm going to take assets. This is your portfolio for retirement, right? What are you going to do? You're going to start combining things around, or when you're looking to purchase a house, you're just looking at all these things. I want to upgrade here. I'm going to downgrade there. I have all these assets that are liquid over here on that right-hand side. That's what you want. You see those picks. There's 2 26 firsts, 2 26 seconds, multiple 26 thirds, 4 or 5. I can't see because I'm getting old. 27 firsts. Now it's like I have a ton to deal with here, right? Because I could easily plug in J-Mo, Calvin Ridley, Matthew Golden, Ricky Purcell, Keon Coleman. These guys are pluggable assets into my lineup. But now I have all these picks to do whatever I want with. And I think what people really struggle with is the patience part, right? Like what we're trying to do throughout the entire process, Snoog, is we're trying to tear down. I mean, we are going and tearing down everywhere we can. In this draft, people were looking at me and they knew, right? Like after a while, they knew I was the guy to trade with. They knew like if I was on the clock, I was trading. So they were trying to trade ahead of time. And that kind of happened a little bit when we got into our last draft too, is you're going to trade down. And every time you trade down, you're adding value. And I don't care if it's move back around to get a 2-3 pick swap. I don't care if it's move back around to get myself, like I said, there's 12 rounds where guys are worth at least a second. If I'm adding one of those guys in that 12th round, that's a second round pick. Like I'm adding a second round pick. And then when we get to that, I'll get more assets, and you continuously set yourself up where people are coming to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that because I really do believe that trading down is just the best way to one-year punt. You just keep building up a core of assets, especially those first. And that's what it comes down to. If you can leave the startup with, 5, 6, 27 first, or 3 26 first and 3 27 first, and then you got 2 stud foundational quarterbacks. Like a lot of the times, like if you look at my start, I had Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert. I could have easily just kicked the tires there with the rest of the draft and just kind of like maybe I took like T. Higgins and Jordan Addison and just said, I'm going to sell everything else. I'm just going to build out that way, get 4 studs, and then I'm going to just go load up on draft picks. Like that was very doable for me. Like I could have done that, but I wanted to kind of go in and contend. You can see I got burnt here with the Judkins news. This was before the news came out. So at the time I was like, great, Breece Hall and Judkins. I get 2 foundational running backs that I think are going to be studs. Then all that news comes out. So it's not looking good for me right now with this squad, but there's a lot of good opportunities, especially when you start getting in round 4 and in the end of round 3, because you can get a lot of foundational wide receivers still in round 3 and 4.
Yeah, and we have a lot of questions here because this is something that it is trickier. It is a little bit more, complex dynasty thing. Ambiguity says, "Hey, love this chart. Did you guys say how you know you're in a one-year punt?" So this is something where it's like you have a plan to do it, right? And this is where, we're going to start doing a lot of different redraft content. But Snoog, I have 12 different redraft strategies. There's hero wide receiver, robust running back, hero running back, like bully tight end. There's so many, but you don't know until you're in the thick of it, right? So like I might want to do a one-year punt, but I don't know till round 3 sometimes, right? Like, because in the last one that I did, I drafted Josh Allen 101. Nobody wanted him. Nobody would trade for him. And I had no problem with that. But then I got to 102, then everybody wanted to trade in, and then I got to 103 and everybody wanted to trade in. And now I'm like, okay, all right, we could do this now. And it's a kind of a bizarre build, but my smash accept 18, I have 9 firsts, but I have Josh Allen. Like nobody will make an offer for him because I have all the firsts, but like I have no problem, So the other question that people are asking is, can a one-year punt happen outside of the startup? No, that's a rebuild. Like I think I get the message on Twitter all the time. People say to me, hey, I'm about to do a 1-year punt. You're like, wait. There's no, you're not doing a 1-year punt after it starts. You're doing a rebuild, and we have a 6-step rebuild process. I think people get confused about what that actually means. Like it's when you're in the draft, you're trying to get yourself into a full rebuild session, trying to get yourself to that spot where it makes sense, So I think that's an important feature where people don't realize the difference. And to me, it seems like an obvious one, but that's something where you have to at least look at it. We got another comment here from Paul Busick. He said, I just did a 1-year punt in a startup, went off script and took McCaffrey in the 7th, gambling that he can recoup value and sell to a contender. This is tricky for me because I just did my smash accept, I believe 18 or 19. And it's such a bizarre build. I think it was in Smash Accept Global where I have Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield at quarterback, and then no running backs, but I got Tet, Worthy, Kraft, Metcalf, Ridley, like a whole slew of guys that are startable. You know what I'm going to do, right? It's like Calvin Ridley is going to increase in value and someone's going to want him. So it's Ridley in a second for your first. So this is a good move sometimes where you want to trade out. And in that 7th round, sometimes there isn't a lot there, right, Snoog? I mean, 7th round, you're looking at, in this case, DK Metcalf, Chuba Hubbard, Jalen Waddle. Christian McCaffrey can instantly be worth more than that by week 2.
Yeah. Especially if he's averaging 23, 24, 22 points per game, comes out firing. That top tier contender who thinks he's in first place but wants the edge is going to say, take my 26 first plus, give me Christian McCaffrey. Take my 27 first, give me Christian McCaffrey. And then that's the trick, right? Like when I'm doing the punt too, I want the older teams picks 2 years out in advance because they have like one shit off season and then they're like, crap, I need my first back. And then you end up getting 2 firsts on top. So it's like, it's really good. I really like doing this strategy and I really like taking value when it's there. Like that's the best way to do it. Don't just draft a player because they're young. Have a plan. Get Kamara for a second, flip him for a first during the season type of thing.
And CO's TV says, Snoog seen my 1-year punt. He approved, made me proud. King of Diamond said, if there's a glaring value with age, purchase and sell during the season with optimal full rebuild draft. This is a great comment because like in that particular draft, I mean, if I pull up this draft board, Snoog, you get to some interesting areas, right? Like, is it worth it? Where someone, a particular pick, like they took Jackson Dart over Dak Prescott because they're like, I'm doing a punt. No, you're bleeding value, right? Like Jackson Dart isn't worth the same as Dak Prescott. So there was no point in you taking Jackson Dart over Dak Prescott. I think a lot of people pigeonhole themselves. They don't think deeper. And then they get some, they you know what I'm saying? Like Dak Prescott is worth Jackson Dart in a second. So the fact that you stretched for Jackson Dart there made no sense at all. You're like, you just can't do those kind of things. Or someone, took, you understand what I'm saying is like, you're taking players.
100%.
Nobody wanted Anthony Richardson. So they took, I believe I saw someone took Russell Wilson in the same area. You're like, no, like you want to invest, Snoog, in guys that could really recoup value. Russell Wilson has a 0% chance to increase in value. 0. I've been getting Anthony Richardson in every startup in the 9th, 10th round because he's one big game from jumping 3 rounds in value. Like
he really is.
Because half of his games have been QB1 status. You know what I mean? Drafting a Dalton Kincaid instead of Isaiah Pacheco. Pacheco, you have no value to recoup where Kincaid could bounce back, and it's like when you get deeper into the draft board, and this is what I really like to do, is when we get deep, and that I love that kind of comment that we had there. But Snoog, I mean, when we get deeper into the draft, instead of taking nonsensical, wide receiver 17, you're drafting your Ray Davis, your Trey Bensons, your Braylon Allens, your Jalen Wrights, your Tank Bigsby. Why? Because someone's going to get hurt. You load up on those insurance running backs. They're the easiest things to sell, right? Like when you look at where Ray Davis is going, Ray Davis goes in the same area as, say, Xavier Legette, Pat Bryant, Darnell Mooney. Which one of those guys can you trade ever? Like, what are you ever going to get for a Mooney? A third? Maybe. Yeah. You know, but
he could go out there and put up 1,000 yards and he'd be worth like probably like 301.
Right. But Ray Davis, right? Ray Davis is a one injury away from getting you a pair of seconds. You know, Braylon Allen, Braylon Allen went in the startup at the same spot as Ben Sinnott and Rashid Shaheed. Rashid Shaheed? Sure, I can't even say his name. He's not going to be
Rashid Shaheed.
Anything. He'll get some like, you know, a couple pop weeks there, but your Dylan Sampsons, your Tyler Algiers, Jonathan Brooks, Roshan Johnson, load up on those lottery ticket insurance running backs. All these rosters you see when I started to throw them up on the board, you're not seeing them as crazy deep at the running or the wide receiver position. You're seeing running backs on there. You know, you're getting those type of players where this whole bench over here is all that way. And this is something where we could talk about the 1 year punt in a sentence, and you could talk about a 1 year punt for 3 hours,
5 hours.
Yeah, it's like, but you're gonna feel different about each one. Snoog and I, a lot of you guys have been asking. We wanted to bring you some of this insight. I mean, what everybody sees is they see when I throw this roster up there. Who doesn't want something sexy like this? Like, the reason Thanos is my AVI on Twitter is because in 2023 I had the 101 through 112. Drafted every single one of them because nobody would trade because they felt upset about it. Guess what? Mm-hmm. Hoisted this bad boy up last year. I said, hey, I can take it, man. Give me Bijan. Give me Jahmyr Gibbs. Give me Devon A-Chain. And then I traded him afterward. Like, I traded assets afterwards.
Yep.
Build around, build up, and when it's time, or build out, and then when it's time, you build back up. And Snoog and I have been great with that. That's something that in the Discord, we are helping people with this all the time. I do, you know, draft assistance where guys have messaged me. I'll give them my cell phone. And I'll be like, let's make this thing work. You know what I mean? You've done the same. Patreon.com/smash accept. Snoog, we got it all in there. We're about to do a redraft show in there. I was talking to you. We're going to probably do an entire week of just redraft content to let you guys know that we are not just Dynasty. We're bringing you insightful Dynasty and redraft. You have our top 250 redraft, top 250 Dynasty. Everything's there right now. I mean, Snoog, I know I said it the other day. We had another like 10 people added to Patreon today because people are like, this is the time. You're in July, going into August. Even if you don't, even if you're hesitant, now's the time to do it. $5, and that you get our content. You get it on the clock where, like, even if you're not talking to Snoog or I, you have 850 guys where you can just say, I'm on the clock right now. Would you take player X or player Y? Boom. Gonna answer it for you. You know what I mean? You got those draft boards. You got everything in there you need, literally, with your fantasy tool belt. I know we've sold it quite a bit, but it's really the best deal there is in Dynasty and redraft.
Yeah, we're just trying to build a community. That's really all it is. You need help getting in leagues. I get a ton of DMs on Twitter. I want to get into a league. What should I do? Who should I ask? I want to pick up an orphan. What should I do? There's orphans, there's startups. You can get in the Smash Accept leagues in the Discord. Like, there's so many opportunities in there. It's so much more than just here's the content. Like, go play with it. Like, It's more like you're just in a big community talking shop with 800 plus people and just talking about anything you want in there, getting access to all the rankings, all the advice you need, all the start sit advice you need. Because we have advice that we need. Dad and I text each other all the time about it. I'll ask people in the Discord for it. Like, everybody wants that, you know, start Travis Hunter this week over this guy. Like, everybody needs closure on that. So that's the spot to be.
Yeah. So guys, thanks again for tuning in and enjoy the process. It's right here. It's right there.